John and I secured this colonial mansion for the summer. I find there to be something quite peculiar about it. John just laughs. He has no patience for faith or superstition. John is a physician, and perhaps that is why I do not get well faster. He does not believe me to be sick, and well, what can I do? He tells everyone it's just a nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency. What can I do? So I am forbidden to work till I'm well again. Though I believe work would do me good, so what am I to do but write in spite of them? I don't like our room a bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened on the plaza and had roses all over the window and such pretty old-fashioned chintz hangings. But John would not hear of it. We took the nursery at the top of the house with repellent, almost revolting, smothering, unclean yellow wallpaper. That's slowly faded by the sun. There are great patches all around the head of my bed where the paper was stripped off. I never saw a worse paper in my life. The pattern is dull enough to confuse the eye, yet pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study. These nervous troubles are so dreadfully depressing. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby. Such a dear baby. And yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John was never nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. He said that after the wallpaper was changed, it would be the heavy bedstead, and then the barred windows, and then the gate at the head of the stairs, and so on. I'm really quite fond of the big room. All but that horrid paper. I think sometimes that if I were only well enough to write a little, it would relieve the press of ideas and rest me. But I find I get pretty tired when I try. This wallpaper has that kind of sub-pattern in a different shade, a particularly irritating one, for you can only see it in certain lights, and not clearly then. I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of figure that seems to sulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design. I cry at nothing and cry most of the time. Of course, I don't when John is here, or anybody else, but when I'm alone. I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper. Perhaps because of the wallpaper? It dwells in my mind so. I lie here on this great and movable bed and follow that pattern about the hour. I start, we'll say, at the bottom, down in the corner, over there, where it has not been touched. And I determine for the 1000th time that I will follow that pointless pattern to some sort of a conclusion. There is one end of the room where it's almost intact, and there, when the cross lights fade and the low sun shines directly upon it, I can almost fancy radiation after all. The interminable grotesque seem to form around a common center and rush off in headlong plunges of equal distraction. It is getting to be a great effort for me to think straight. Just this nervous weakness, I suppose. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and just carried me upstairs and laid me on the bed and sat by me and read to me till it tired my head. He says no one but myself can help me out of this. But I must use my will and self-control and not let any silly fantasies run away with me. There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me, or ever will. Behind the outside pattern, the dim shades get clearer every day. It is like a woman stooping down and creeping out behind that pattern. I don't like it a bit. In the moonlight, the faint figure behind seems to shake the pattern as though she wants to get out. In the daylight, there is a lack of sequence. The color is hideous and the pattern torturing. It slaps you in the face and knocks you down and tramples upon you. The outside patterns of floor are arabesque, reminiscent of a fungus. The paper changes as the light changes so quickly you'd never quite believe it. I finally recognize the thing behind the sub-pattern. I'm quite sure it's a woman, subdued by day but trapped behind the pattern. The fact is I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems strange sometimes, and even Jeannie has an inexplicable look. I suspect it's the paper. I catch them looking at it when they think they are alone. I even saw Jeannie with her hand on it once. I'm feeling ever so much better. I don't sleep much at night, but I sleep a good deal in the daytime. I've really discovered something at last. The front pattern does move, and no wonder. The woman behind shakes it. Sometimes I think there's a great many women behind, and sometimes only one, and she crawls around fast, and her crawling shakes them hard. She is trying to climb through. I think that woman gets out in the daytime. I've seen her privately. It is the same woman, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I can't do it at night, for I know John would suspect something at once. We leave soon. I must get the woman out of the yellow wallpaper. John is going to take care of a patient. Now is my time. As soon as it was moonlight and that poor thing began to crawl and shake the pattern, I got up and ran to help her. I pulled and she shook. I shook and she pulled, and before morning we had peeled off yards of that paper. And then when the sun came and that awful pattern began to laugh at me, I declared I would finish it today. We go away tomorrow, and they are moving all my furniture down to leave things as they were before. When Jeannie saw what I was doing, she was amazed. She offered to do it herself. But I am here, and no person touches this paper but me. Not alive. I quite enjoy the room, now it is bare again. I have locked the door and thrown the key down into the front path. I don't want to go out, and I don't want to have anybody come in till John comes. I want to astonish him. I don't like to look out the windows. Even there are so many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they all come out of the wallpaper as I did. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the pattern when it comes night, and that is hard. It's so pleasant to be out in this great room and creep around as I please. Why, there's John at the door. How does he call and pound? Now he's crying for an axe. It would be a shame to break down that beautiful door. When he came in, he stopped short by the door. Now why should that man have fainted?